Cutting in now. Yes, welcome everyone.
Welcome. We're just going to begin in a minute or so. We'll just let a few more people come in.
It's from 4 to 5.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining Friends of Simon Wiesenthal Center for In Conversation with Maxwell Smart. My name is Elise, and I am the programs lead at Friends of Simon Wiesenthal Center. Please feel free to keep your videos on for today's session. Your mics are muted so we don't have any accidental interruptions. And we are recording the program today so we could share it with those who missed it and post it on our YouTube channel after. And if you have any questions for Max throughout the program, please write them in the chat box and we will do our best to get to them at the end. I'm proud to be joined by Friends of Simon Wiesenthal Center's senior educator, Elena Kingsbury, who will be interviewing Max today. So I'll hand it over to you, Elena.
Thank you so much, Elise. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to In Conversation with a Survivor. I want to welcome today's speaker, Maxwell or Max Smart, and offer, first of all, a huge congratulations on the premiere of your new movie, The Boy in the Woods, which is in theaters this week. So everybody should really take the opportunity to go out and see it. And I think it's been extended, so you can watch it next week as well. It's a beautiful film exploring important themes about the desperation and courage required to survive in hiding in the forests of occupied Poland during the Holocaust. It's really an honor to be able to speak with you today. We're going to begin in just a moment, but for everyone in the audience, I just wanted to provide some brief background information. So originally born Oziac Fromm, Max was born in 1930 and grew up in the predominantly Jewish town of Buczacz, Poland, which is now in Ukraine. He survived the Holocaust in hiding and eventually immigrated to Montreal, Canada in 1948 as an orphan. Besides his parents, Smart lost his only sibling, a younger sister, as well as 62 family members of his extended family during the Holocaust. In Montreal, he became a successful expressionist artist and businessman. He published his testimony of survival first in the memoir Chaos to Canvas with the Azrieli Foundation. And after participating in the documentary Cheating Hitler, he was approached by Harper Collins to write an expanded version of his experiences, which was released as The Boy in the Woods in 2022. And then now the feature film of the same name is in theaters today. And it's based off of this memoir. Okay, so welcome, Max. And as I said, huge congratulations and thank you for being with us today. So thank you. And so let's just get right into it. So I'll start off by asking, so for those in our audience who have not had the privilege of reading your memoir or seeing the film, how would you characterize life for your family prior to the outbreak of the Second World War? And what do you remember most about your childhood in the 1930s in Buczacz?
When I was born in the 1930s, everything was peaceful, everything was nice. I became 7-year-old. I remember they sent me into private school, a boys' school. I didn't like it very much. It was splitting from my family, but I liked the schooling. I liked to be in school. I think I had a sister which was born 5 years later.
You're still on.
I'm still on, am I?
Yeah. You are.
Yeah. And I had a sister, a younger sister, 5 years older. Her name was Sonia. I used to watch over her. I remember she was in a crib and I was rocking it. And my mother used to yell at me, "You're rocking it too fast." We had a private home, a beautiful home. We celebrated Shabbat every Friday night. I remember my grandparents used to come in. we had a very, very normal life. We were not rich people, but we were like a middle class upper people. The family did not move out of the city. We were a huge city. We were a prominent city. My grandfather was part of the Kehela. I don't know how even to say. They supported the poor, the unfortunate. My grandfather had a big factory of clothing. I think that's why my father married my mother, because my grandfather opened them a store and they gave him as a dowry for marriage. I didn't know that people get married to marriage people. It was all arranged. And they bought a better man. He was also not from the same city. He was from Chortkov, my life as a child was beautiful. My childhood was very beautiful and very quiet. I had friends, not only Jewish friends, I had Christian friends. I didn't feel really abused too much.
Mm. So that brings me, right, the question of anti-Semitism.
Anti-Semitism was there, but it wasn't it was like a hidden. It was not practiced. Today it is advertised with media, it becomes very powerful. We didn't have any media. So, the little bit of anti-Semitism was not that dangerous. The anti-Semitism started only when the Germans occupied Poland.
Mm.
Then it boomeranged in 1941 when they occupied our city. Life changed. But I was already 11-year-old, and I was already in school.
Mm-hmm.
I stopped school. We had no more schools available for Jews. They tried to rearrange our life. Actually, the Russians came in before the Germans, but when the Russians came in, my father lost his business. They confiscated, and when the Russians came in first, so it actually changed. Anti-Semitism disappeared completely, totally. Under the Russian rule, there was no anti-Semitism. Everybody was equal. So life was actually better than even during the Polish rule, the Ukrainian rule, because they disallowed totally anti-Semitism. They actually practiced that they took care more of the children than any other government did. To them, the kids were the people, and the kids were actually the people that I like to talk to, and I like to talk about it. So my life under the Russian was the best. Growing had a problem. My grandfather lost the store, the factory. My father he didn't lose the store. They didn't take it away, but he sold out and there was no replacement. So everything ended. There was no, you couldn't buy merchandise to resell again. So life changed. But for the children, it really didn't change. I know my mother complained, my father, everybody complained, but the children had a picnic.
Right.
The teachers were good. I was a teacher's pet. And they liked me.
Okay, so now you go.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and I had a good, life in the Russia I really enjoyed. But it didn't last that long because then the Germans, the Nazi occupied. When the Nazi occupied in 1941, it changed drastically. First of all, nobody was free to go anyplace. The Ukrainian took over. They were the collaborators mostly with the Germans, because they promised them a country. So they were actually helping them, not to a point, because I had Ukrainians who helped me survive. And they were nice people. They were nice Ukrainian people who helped me. They gave me food in the woods. But they were the helpers for the Nazis. The Nazis were terrible. They closed everything. They took away my home. They took away my everything that I possessed. I remember an instance when my mother, when they had an announcement that all the Jews have to go to live in a ghetto. They have to go live in a ghetto. So I remember my mother went over to a neighbor. He says, "Would you like to get something like some furniture to get us some food, give us some bread?" This is a neighbor you're talking, the conversion. And she said, "You have no right to sell anything. What is Jewish belongs to the government, and you get out, because I am going to take over your house anyways, and I don't have to give you nothing." The cruelty, that's when anti-Semitism came into power, and it started to flourish, and people had very, very bad times. They took away my father. They told my father to register, and they registered to go for labor. They were about 600 or 500 people. Segregated them. They split them, the labor, from the intelligentsia, from the school teachers, from the lawyers, from the professors. The professionals, they put on one side. The labor, they put in the other side. They let the laborers go back home, and we were home waiting for my father, and my father never arrived. The intelligentsia was loaded on trucks. They took him to the Feather Hill. We didn't know really where they took him, and they shot him. Months later, after this killing of those 300 people that they killed, they came back and says, "We know they're alive. They give us some money. We will send them money. They will return." And my mother gave them money. Everybody from the 300 gave them money, but it was not true. They were already dead, and they were all killed on Feather Hill. And this was the German when they come. Later on, talking about further, when we were in the ghetto, they make raids daily. They picked up 50 people, 100 people, they disappeared. And in one of the raids, they picked up me. My father was already gone. They picked up me, my mother. They killed my grandfather in front of my eyes. He fell down the steps. They didn't kill him just with a bullet, with an explosive bullet. They took us outside from the ghetto. They decided that they're going to make Juden free the city. Everybody will be killed. They put me in a court. I was arrested. I remember sitting in the jailhouse, and my mother came over to me, and he says, you know, we are not, it's very bad. You have to try to save yourself somehow. I don't know what to tell you and how you should do it, but try maybe to escape. I says, I will try, but I don't know if it's possible. We'll see. And their doors opened and they started to yell. They took out the people from the jail. And then outside there were trucks. They were loading them. Some women had children, little babies. I remember a policeman, she couldn't run with a child in her arms. So they ripped away the baby and they threw him into the truck like a sack of garbage. And I'm walking with my mother to go to the truck, and she pushes me away. She says, you can't go with me. You please. I says, but mother, I say, you're taking my sister. Why don't you want to take me with you? He says, I can't. I shouldn't. I don't want to. You have to live. Try and live. Try to get away. But how could I go away? It's all circled in with police. Walk away. She didn't even mind if I try and I will be killed. But I tried. And I turned around. She pushes me, I fell. And she continued walking to the trucks. And I see her already going in the truck. I get up and I look around and I see like it's open space in one section. I just walk over and walk and walk and walk. And I wound up on the bridge. I wind up on the bridge out of the circle of the trucks by myself. I look back and I see, and I take off my armband, which I was wearing, and I take a look, and the truck were loaded. And I am outside. How did I get outside? I have no idea. I just walked out. And as I walk on the bridge to freedom, a policeman, a German policeman officer, walks towards me. And we pass each other. In curiosity, as a child, I turn around to take a look. And he turns around and he sees me. And he says, stop. I stop. He comes over to me. He says, where are you coming from? I says, I'm coming from the city hall. What were you doing in the city hall? My father works in the city hall. So I'm going for lunch now home. Tell me the truth. Are you a Jew? I says, no. He takes out the gun. He points it at my head. And he says, tell me the truth. Are you a Jew? I says, no. He puts back the gun in his holster and lets me go. I think it was a miracle because it's not possible that the only thing he had to tell me, maybe lower your pants or whatever there is, whatever they check. And he would have known I'm not what I say I am. And they walk out. I had an auntie, by the way, which was not in the ghetto. They let us stay in the city because they had a factory of chocolates and candies you couldn't get. And the Germans and the Ukrainians, they wanted chocolate. They had the things, but where? So they kept him outside and he lived in the factory. They gave him the sugar, they gave him food, they gave him everything to make chocolates with him. So he was not impacted. And he was waiting on the other side of the bridge to see what's happening to my auntie, which is my mother's sister. And she was there.
Okay, so wait.
And I go to her. And she says, turns around, she says, come with me. And she takes me home. And she says, they're going to close up all the Jews in the city. It's going to be Juden-free. They're going to close up the places they live. They're going to kill everybody. I'm going to put you in into hiding. And she says, I have found a place for you, and I'm going into hiding also. So I say to her, but Auntie, why can't I go with you? Well, they don't want to let in children. We are three couples, and they don't want to have any children with three couples. But I found a very good place for you in the woods, not far away, maybe 10, 15 kilometers. And they'll pick you up tomorrow morning and you go into hiding. And this is how I wound up by myself in hiding.
Wow. Do you, Max, just because it's such an incredible narrative. And I know, you're reminding me a lot of the film that has just come out, and I just saw this narrative played out. But maybe you want to describe for the audience a little bit, when you were in hiding, what was life like for you during that time? Yeah.
It's a good idea, because I really want to tell them.
Good.
When I landed on that farm that kept me, which the auntie, by the way, paid. And she said to me, I will pay for the keep of you every single month. The farmer will come to the city, and where we are hiding in a restaurant, and the restaurateur will pay him every week, every month, for keeping you. And I was happy. When I landed at Yashko's place, his name was, he was a Polish farmer with a heart of gold. He was young. He was maybe 27 years old. His wife was maybe 23. They had two little children, a year old and maybe a year and a half or two. He says to me, you are going to hide in my farm. Yeah, by the way, the farm, he didn't have a farm. He was a farmer without a farm. He was a farmer who built his own house, a mud house in the woods. And there were only about 5 homes in the whole area. And I said, that's beautiful to hide here. Nobody will see me. I'm happy. And he says, you will hide in the open. You will work in the farm. You will help with me in the garden. You will help in the stable with the horse and the wagon. You will take the cow on pasture. I says, I will, definitely. And I had about a month and a half, very quiet. I stayed one day in the house. One day I stayed in the house. And through the window, the house had one single window. And through the window, I see a policeman. But I figured, what is a policeman doing here? And I didn't pay attention. But the policeman went over to Yashko's door and he knocked on the door. Yashko goes over and opens the door. He says, yes. He says, we were told by your neighbor that you are hiding Jews. If you tell us what they are, Yashko, we will let you go. And we'll kill them. We will take them away. But if you don't tell us where he is, and we will find them, we will kill you, your family, and the Jew, and you don't want that. And I'm sitting in the house, I remember, and shaking, and waiting for Yashko to say that word, yes or no. And he says, I am not hiding any Jews. You could look. And they open up the door and they walk in and they see me. I grabbed a little boy, he's 2-year-old, in my arms, and I was holding him. And they're looking in the house and he with him and me. They couldn't find anybody. They went outside, they went to the barn. They went all over. They didn't find me. I was there in front of them, and they walked away. When Yashko came back, he says, I saved your life. but I'm afraid. Because the guy who said that I'm hiding is still here. And he lives here. And he is going to say you didn't find him because he was walking around or whatever. I can't keep you. And he took me. He took a pot, I remember, and a shovel. And we went into the woods. And he says, I'll try to prepare you a little place. And he dug out under a rock. He says, I'm sorry, I cannot keep you. You could come in sometimes and I'll give you some food. But how am I going to live, Yashko? Why are you doing it? He says, I cannot help you. I'm afraid to keep you. And he let me go. And I stayed by myself in the woods without knowing how to survive a day. He gave me some food. He gave me a bread. I stayed a couple of days. I finished the food. What do I do now? It was raining. The place that he dug out was wet. I had to try to dig with my hands deeper into the hole to get protection from the. I couldn't exist. And one day, 2 days, a week, months pass by, and I'm lying in this hole by myself. I live off mushroom. He told me, don't touch the mushrooms on the ground because they're poisonous. Touch the mushroom only that the fungus on the trees. They will, so you will be okay eating them. So I was a whole day watching, looking for mushrooms. But then winter came. It was cold. I had to build deeper into the ground, the hole, cover myself. I went to Yashko. I said, Yashko, I need some straw. I need something to put on the ground. He gave me a pot. He gave me some other utensils a little bit. He gave me a big knife. He was very helpful. He tried to do the best he can. He never visited me in the woods, but I used to go to him. It used to be so cold that I could not exist anymore. So I used to sneak into his barn with the animals that used to stay there. I remember Kasha, his wife, used to get up in the morning and see me. He used to give me some milk and some bread. I went back to the hiding. I lived like that by myself. Maybe, I don't know, maybe a year by myself or 8 months. I cursed God. I cursed the world. I cursed everybody around me. I had fights with God. I had fights, you have no idea. And I am a believer in God. I'm a believer in miracles because I survived because of miracles. And one day, I'm lying. I says, I can't take it. I can't take it no more. I think I tried to kill myself. And one day, I hear a noise. The forest in reality accepted me. I was part of the forest in that year. The animals liked me. They were running around. Even the birds used to fly around me. All of a sudden, the forest became very quiet. I knew some danger. And I see a little boy walking, younger than me. And I sneak out. And I knew it's a Jew. Who else is walking in the woods? He says, you're Jewish? He says, yes. What are you doing walking, Allah? He says, and he tells me the story. He was not far away, maybe a few kilometers, playing or walking, hiding in a bunker with his parents. And they didn't have any food anymore. So he said, so my mother went to look for food and she never came back. So we stayed another couple of days. And my father went to look for food and he never came back. And I had no choice. I had to go out and find food. And I'm walking already for a day. And now I found you. You must be Jewish too. He says, yeah. I gave him a slice of bread. He ate it. And he says to me, thank you. And we became the best friends. He was my, not only a friend, he was my life. Without him, I would have not lasted no more.
Okay.
And I lived with him. We played together. We had a good time. I played, and we were children. We were little children.
Okay.
Wow. So how old were you at this time, Max? Were you about 12 years old?
I was there
12.
about 12 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, 12 years old.
And your friend, was his name, is it Yannick?
Yannick, yeah. His name was Yannick. He was so smart. We played games like, his father was an accountant, he says. So he says, I know numbers. I could tell you write down on a rock, write down with a charcoal, any number, 23, 65, 86. I will give you the total. And I used to write down 10 numbers. He gave me, it's 340.
That's amazing. He must have been a very bright child.
Very bright child. Very bright child.
And so he was with you. He was with you in hiding.
Yeah.
For several months.
He was with me. He was with me for at least 6 months.
Wow.
But what happened in between? Another thing happened. One night, at early morning, I remember there was noises, shooting, yelling, screaming. Something is happening. Yannick, he said, let's be quiet. Maybe an hour or two, it was quiet. So I say to Yannick, maybe we should go and take a look. No, why would you want to go? Maybe it's dangerous. Maybe they're still hiding there. Why would we want to go? Let's stay. I said, let's go and take a look. I pulled them out from the bunker. He said, it comes from the water, from the side of the river. So we went towards the river. Maybe 150 feet away from me, maybe 200 feet, not very far. The site was a mess. 7 or 8 dead people lying, this was winter, lying in the snow, running in different directions. Yannick, what happened here? He says, let's get out. Let's get out. So I says, Yannick, before we go, let's take some clothing. We have no shoes. Our clothing are torn. Let's see. There's a bunker. Let's find. Maybe they have some food there. Maybe you could do something. We don't need that. Let's get out. I said, Yannick, please, let's take some stuff. We took some jackets. I had no shoes. I had the racks wrapped around my feet with strings. I didn't even have strings anymore. Everything was used up and broken. We never took out the clothing. We slept in them because we didn't have any blankets to cover. So that was our blankets. We took off the dust and we had full packages. We had some potato. We were happy. Yes, it was a dead scene, but for us, it was happiness. And as I walk, I see something is moving on the other side of the river. I says, Yannick, I think this person there is alive. Yeah, but it's on the other side. You have to, you can't go into the water. I don't want to go into the water. I don't want to. I can't. I'm afraid. It's cold. It's freezing. It's crusted with ice. But you can't leave them there, Jan. You can't leave a person still alive. Maybe she will be okay. Maybe we'll take her. We could use somebody else with us. Maybe she's older. She knows what to do. We don't know what to do. And I take Yannick by the hand. I pull him into the water. I slush through the water, through the cold, wet. He almost drowned. I pull him out. We reach the other end. I reach the other end, and I go into the body, to the woman. It was a woman. I move her. She doesn't move. I move her again. She doesn't move. She had a baby in her arms, and she felt on top of the baby, and she protected the baby from the cold, and she protected the baby from the bullet, and they didn't kill her. The baby saw me, heard us, started to yell and cry. I pull out that baby from her arm and take Yannick, and we slush through back to the other side, wet in the winter, cold. The baby is yelling. We got into the bunker. We took off her clothing. We took off from the dead bodies the clothing. We put them on herself. The baby is crying. We look for food. We found a potato. We take the potato and I give it to the baby. And she started to suck on the potato and she stopped crying. We changed. We took whatever we can, utensils. The bunker was well equipped. It was built professional, not like us with hands grabbing. This was built with wood, logs, nails nailed. The bunker was a beautiful bunker. And we took the baby into our bunker. And as much as we can, and I brought in the baby to the bunker. And I kept the baby. The baby cries. Why is she crying? She was wet. She was dirty. And I remember my sister. And I opened her up. And I clean her off. And I say, Yashko. Yeah. I said, I have to go to Yashko and see Yannick what to do with the baby. And I don't know what to do. I go to Yashko and I tell him about the baby. It is a little bit different in the movie, but what they did, Yashko took the baby. But in the reality, I found the auntie of the baby. And I gave the baby to the auntie. And the auntie kept the baby. And that's what happened during that's what happened with the baby. The baby is alive.
Wow. And that, that decision to take the baby and to try and help the baby, that I think it just speaks to your humanity. And as a child yourself, I think it's hard to imagine the courage that took to do. And, it's a really beautiful and incredible moment in your story.
I saved a life.
You did.
Yeah, Yannick is a hero. But there were consequences with this situation. Big consequences.
Let them see the movement.
I could continue if you want to tell you.
Sure.
Or-
So maybe you could quickly tell us a little bit about the consequences. And I know our audience has a few questions as well. And I also just wanted to ask you about the
Yeah.
process of filmmaking. But why don't you?
I understand.
Yeah.
I will tell you the story and the people will ask the questions.
Exactly. Perfect.
So what happened? What happened? By Yannick going into the water,
Mm.
he got sick.
Oh.
Maybe not very sick, but got sick and he got a fever. I had Yannick with a fever. I have a baby crying. I have to get rid of the baby. I am the man. I'm the supposed to be the protector of all those people. I found the auntie. I give the baby to the auntie. I go back. The auntie promises that she will come back and take us. She doesn't. They had plenty of problems with their own life. So they let me keep, they let me go. Like anybody else lets go. It's a problem. Yashko let me go. Everybody is for themselves. Yannick is very sick. What do I do now with Yannick? The baby is already gone. I ran to Yashko. I say, Yashko, you have to help me with Yannick. He's very sick. I'm going to go tomorrow to the city. I'll buy him something to help him. He has a bad cold. He will be okay. But Yannick didn't have a cold. He had a sickness. He had typhus. He was sick. And Yashko goes away. And I go to Yannick. I stay with him another few days. And I go back to Yashko. Yashko is not there. Yashko is in the city somewhere. He never gave you the medication. Nobody cares for anybody. Kasia says to me, you know, Christmas is coming. Maybe you should stay and help me a little bit out. Yeah, but I have a sick boy. What am I going to do? She says, stay till tomorrow. You clean up. I'll prepare some food and I'll give you some food to take home. I stay. And the next day, I go to meet Yannick again. I come in to the bunker. The bunker is open. It's cold, freezing, full of snow. I look around. I can't find Yannick. Yannick is nowhere. I go to the water. I go up and I go down. I can't find him. It's nighttime already and I still don't have Yannick. I say, where am I going to find Yannick? Where? How? He must have walked out. Before I go, I went into the other side of the bunker and I see under a tree is lying Yannick. I go over to Yannick. Yannick doesn't move. I take him, not carry him, but drag him into the bunker. I make the bunker warm. I put in charcoal, extra. I make it very warm. Yannick is not moving. I don't know what to do. I know there's something wrong with him. Is he dead or something? I don't know for sure. Maybe he's just frozen and he will be okay. I ran to Yashko. He comes with me to the bunker the first time. Goes into the bunker. He comes out and he says, Max. He didn't call me Max, he told me Stashik. He gave me a Christian name. He says, Stashik. He is not alive. He's dead. He left him in the bunker. He closed up the bunker. And he says, you know, yeah, Stashik, come stay with me. this is a heart of gold,
Okay, so you have to go on. This is crazy already.
you know, and he takes me into this house. I stay with him, not in the home, but I stay in the stable.
Mm.
One day he comes in, maybe 2 weeks later, maybe 3 weeks later, he comes in to the stable. I have good news for you. You're free. The Russians are here and they're liberated. The Germans are running. And I think your city is liberated. And he liberated me. And I was the happiest guy in the world.
That must have been an incredible moment.
Okay.
And a
Right.
moment, a very difficult moment as well, I'm sure. And, you know, that's the chapter of where to go and what to do, especially knowing that you were an orphan. But Max, maybe just because of our time constraints, I just wanted to ask you a little bit about what has it been like to see, you know, the testimony you're describing turned into a major motion picture? What has the process been like? And do you feel that it captures your life accurately?
Your film.
The film, yeah. Do you,
Film.
how,
Like
what,
What?
the film.
Oh, the film. I never, honestly, to be honest, never believed that there was going to be a film. The film started by coincidences. I think miracle coincidences, or there are coincidences. One day, a Rebecca Snow director comes in to my life. I don't know from where, from how. And she says to me, I would like to write for History Channel about cheating Hitler. A documentary about 3 people. I would like to write it. I would like to write about you and 2 other people. I didn't know that this is possible. That Rebecca is serious. What do you mean she going to write a documentary on 3? Why did they pick me? But she was serious. I'm in Florida. She comes to Florida. She calls me up and she wants to see me. I said to my wife, what do you mean she wants? She is here in Florida. Rebecca came special for you to Florida. She wants to make a documentary. She wants to send a limo for you. Why don't you come down? My wife says, okay. And she sends a limo. And she takes me downtown in an area. I don't know. I'm afraid. I'm really honestly afraid. I don't know if it's true or not. And we come down. And there is sitting Rebecca in an organized studio with people all around me. I still don't believe her. And I say, Rebecca, what's going on? Do you have any papers? Do you have anything to show me that you are making a documentary? She did take out a paper. She showed me. And I read the paper. Yes, she was to make a documentary. And we make the documentary. I tell her the story, what happened. And she takes it. And she goes away. And she takes extensive research. She went to my city. She went to my place where I was born. She found out more about me than I ever knew about me. I didn't even know what's going on. She found she found a marriage certificate for my mother and father. She found everything I needed to know about myself.
Wow.
Listen, Jack.
And I was unbelievably impressed. Unbelievable.
And it was from there, with Cheating Hitler, the documentary, that your memoir came out of that, correct?
Yeah. Now the documentary was produced. She called me up, and I went to Toronto to the opening, and we were interviewed in the studio.
History Channel.
And the documentary became a success, a very big success. She is very capable, by the way. Rebecca is a very capable person.
About the film.
She became a success
Film. Talk
But-
about the film.
by
Film.
I don't know.
The film. She asked you
But-
about the film.
The documentary, it was so successful.
Hmm. That's wonderful. And
that,
it's,
that Harper Collins saw the documentary, and he took the book, and he says to me, there was another book written by me, which was given to the Azrieli Foundation, Chaos the Canvas. And he says to me, you know, the documentary that you have is not finished. You forgot to finish. Could you possibly finish the documentary and include the baby you saved? Because when they made the documentary, they found the baby, and the baby was alive through the documentary, not because of anybody else. They did such an intensive research that they found everything about it. And they came back to me, and they said the baby is alive. What do you mean? Where? She lives in Israel. And I have some more news for you. You know that the boy's name, the boy is registered in Israel. And they gave me the name because I knew Yannick, but I didn't know his real second name. And they told me the second name.
wow.
And when I finished Harper Collins producing the book Cheating Hitler, Rebecca came to me back, and she says to me, you have a fantastic story to tell people. I will going to make a film. I still don't believe that it's going to possibly make a. And she convinced me to such a point that I gave in, and I said, go ahead, make the film. She said, this is not a film about a Holocaust. She said, this is a film about survival. This is a film about children, how bad. When I extended the book,
Mhm.
and everything fell into place, she produced one of the most powerful movies. Right. The book was a #1 seller in Canada. So the movie is going to be a #1 seller in the world. The movie will be sold everywhere, because this is not a movie about really this is how to treat children. So such a horror, such an inhumanity to them. How could they, I said to Rebecca, I said to Rebecca, Rebecca, this is not for normal. This will reach every heart, because people have pity on children. people have feelings for children. You will go to children's places. The film will be the most powerful thing that possibly you could do. You have to make this film. But to produce it, to make a film is one thing. To produce it, to effectively, this is you need talent. This is you need more. That she had to rewrite the script to fit, but she wanted to produce.
For 12-year-old.
Right.
She did produce a film that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You know, when I was when they were filming under the film festival, in one of the film festivals, the owner from the movie house came at Max. I have tremendous news. What's the news? The film was just rated number 5-star film, also good for 12-year-old children, for younger children. It was
amazing.
rated for young.
Okay, that's good.
So important. It really is so important that children, and I think right now for young people to empathize with a Jewish child and the story of what Jewish children like yourself went through during the Holocaust, that's, empathy and humanity are really what people can learn by watching your film. And I'm so sorry to cut you off, Max. I could listen to you, and I think what you're, there's so many important things that you're saying, but I do want to just make sure we save time for a couple quick questions. I also, just somebody in the audience has said something really beautiful that they want me to convey to you, that you're warming all of our hearts, and we're bursting with love, admiration, and fondness for a very brave and courageous hero. So thank you very much for sharing your testimony with us today. And I also, just some praise, some nice words.
Well, thank you for having me.
Of course. So here's a question from the audience, if that's okay. One of the lines in the film, so Pearl Reimer asked, there's a line in the film that stood out. Max says to Yannick, when he's older, he's going to convert to Christianity because the Christian God looks after his people. So when did you change in your mind that you wanted to stay Jewish?
I went to Yashko. I went to Yashko and said, Yashko, I would like to become. He said, what do you mean you want to become? If I come with you to a church, they'll kill me and they'll kill you too. So forget about it. You cannot be. And I went back a Jew. I didn't decide to become one. I couldn't get out of the being Jewish. No, they didn't. He says, you'll be dead before you decide.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. And especially given what we know that being Jewish, it was viewed by the Nazis and, by the state as being a race, not a religion. So it wasn't something you could just abandon.
That's right.
Another great question here. So from Bev Friedman, how did you find the auntie for the baby? You said that you'd help to find the aunt for the for the little baby girl. How did you do that?
As a matter of fact, it's a little story if she wants. But I'm not going to take the story. When I went to, I did, in the book, if you read the book, I didn't go to Yashko to give away the baby, but if they would have made the movie, including the rest of the story, they would have done another hour. So they had to cut the script. I went to find a Jew to help me take away the baby. But when I went to find other Jews in the woods, I found the auntie. And she says to me, we built that bunker where the auntie was living. And she took the baby, she came back with me and took the baby away from me. It wasn't Yashko. she took the baby away. Now,
Okay.
but after the war, they went different. They went to Israel. I went to Europe. I went to Canada. It took the research of Rebecca to be able to put together this miracle to find this baby. It was a miracle that Rebecca produced it. Without her, there would never be a connection.
Okay, good.
Right. You would have never known that she
It's
survived.
it's a long explanation to the baby.
That's a wonderful explanation, and it helps. I think I'll understand. And yeah, to the miracle of being able to reconnect with her. I know she wasn't in great health, but to be able to know that she did live a full life, and that's due to your rescue of her.
And they have grandchildren, and their
Oh.
grandchildren and grandchildren.
Okay, another question?
That's beautiful. Yes. Yeah, so I also have Brandon and Adam say love you, Zadie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, Brandon.
You're nice.
Yeah.
Nice. From Svetlana. So I'm just reading the question here. Having survived so many horrors, what advice would you give to Jewish people today, who might be facing anti-Semitism?
What advice would you give people today who are facing anti-Semitism?
Anti-Semitism is known, which existed thousands of years. It's not created today. It's not created yesterday. It is just boomeranged out today because of the political situation. But it's always there. It's quietly always there, never disappeared. Not in my time, not in the Russians, not in the Spanish, not any place. It was always there. So there is no cure for anti-Semitism. Hatred is something you cannot just eliminate it. No way ever that we could live with it. We could accept it because we are different. We are a different race. So we accept the race.
Yeah.
Nothing will be changed. It will die down quietly. It will be quiet again. It will die down, but it will never disappear. Impossible.
It feels sometimes like these things come in cycles, right?
Yeah, that's it. Never. We'll have to live with it.
Educate.
Thank you.
It is very good to educate people. That's why I go to schools. I go to schools to tell them, how could children are when I go and question and answer, and there are groups of children, they stay 30, 40 an hour to ask. They ask the most beautiful questions. The children could say to their mothers, "Mommy, why did Maxwell Smart hide in the woods? Why did he hide? Why did they want to kill him? What did he do?" Just to ask the question. He could ask his mother, "What did he do that they want to kill him?" He didn't do nothing. This question that the child will ask the mother is important to me.
Okay, good.
This is the important question. Why? What did I do that they wanted to kill me?
Okay, good.
And it's so important that the students get to ask you that directly and speak to you
and they
directly.
Go home.
Yeah.
And they go home and they ask the parent, why? Why do they kill me? This is what I want them to do.
Well, Thank you so much, Max. I know it's not easy to speak, but you are truly a brilliant storyteller and such a compelling speaker. I think that all of us, we could probably listen to you for another hour, but I don't want to. You've had a busy week and I'm sure, a very busy couple of months with the film. So maybe we'll leave it there. But I want to say thank you so much for speaking today, and thank you to everybody who is listening on the call right now. I'll say on behalf of everyone that, you know, we have a lot to learn from you and other survivors, and thank goodness for filmmakers like Rebecca, who has turned your story into a feature film and an amazing documentary.
Amen. I want to thank you, and I want to thank the station, and I want to thank. By the way, I just want to mention something else. You know that Simon Wiesenthal is also from Buczacz. Do you know that?
I do. I was fascinated to learn that that's where you grew up.
He's my landsman.
Ah,
that's
fantastic.
Nice. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone. And we'll see you very soon again for the next In Conversation program.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Have a good night.
Thank you.